First of all, that is not a hurricane. That is just today is a windy, rainy, stormy day in Florida, and it's part of the reason I'm making this video is because I don't really want to be outside dodging raindrops. So I'm making this video because a couple of people have asked why I stopped making videos. First thing is that, nothing really bad has happened. There's not like any serious problems or anything. So the fact that I kind of went off the air is not an indication that I've died or anything. To kind of tell the story, and this is, you're going back a few months at this point, and I thought I was ready to leave. So I settled my account with the marina and I left. And chugged on down the ICW for a day, dropped anchor, kind of hilariously, because it's the first time I've ever done it by myself, but without breaking anything. It was just embarrassing. And so you're saying, well, why don't I intercut this story with video? There was this little incident where I was having a bad day and my disk drive was filled, so I deleted a directory without checking to see what was in it first, and as a result there is no footage from that trip. Anyway, the point is that I got to the anchor to drop the anchor. Things are going well so far. I did the check, and there was a lot of coolant leaking from the engine. It had only been, I didn't go very far the first day because I wanted to give myself lots of time to anchor, and the stress of doing all this for the first time by myself and everything. I wanted to give myself lots of opportunities to deal with things. I hadn't really gone that far or run the engine that long. A few hours, not like a full day of motoring, 8 or 10 hours. And there was a lot of coolant missing from the engine. So I spent the night in that anchorage. The next morning I got up and decided I was going to find the coolant leak. And I spent the majority of that day, and in the end I wasn't able to track it down. Not then anyway. So I called the marina, asked them, I figured it'd be way easier. I may have to get a diesel mechanic in to help. It's going to be way easier to do this. I'm going to have to go back to the marina. So I called the marina, and luckily for me, it's the slow season, so it was really easy to get my slip back. Came back to the marina. Well, this is where it gets kind of funny. So I got up and I headed back to the marina. And here in Fort Pierce, we're near an inlet. So as the tide is changing, a lot of water has to rush past Fort Pierce, coming in the inlet and filling in the Indian River. So there's a significant tidal current across the marina. And what that means is unless you're either a skilled captain, which I am not yet at all, or you have a boat with a lot of power, like not a sailboat, you really don't want to be trying to get in and out of the marina when the current is there, because it wants to push you into the shallows. So I looked at the tide charts and saw that low tide was at a certain time, and there shouldn't be any current at low tide, right? And I came out, and there was a ton of current. So I went, without trying to get into them, you could see the current. So I went back to the anchor to drop the anchor, and kind of, I want to say, I don't want to admit it, but I sulked a little bit. I was a little frustrated at this point. I was not leaving like I expected. I had this coolant leak I couldn't figure out how to fix, and now apparently I can't read tide charts. So here's a lesson for new people. There are a lot of areas apparently, and Fort Pierce is one of them, where the current is not timed perfectly with the tides. And I think why this happens, and if you're like a expert in this stuff, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but is basically, the water, use high tide as an example, the water rushes in, and you have all this current, and then Fort Pierce hits high tide. But because Fort Pierce is right next to the inlet, there's a lot of stuff upstream, actually in both directions, both north and south, where the water is still rushing in because those areas haven't gotten to high tide yet. And as a result, the current is still strong for about an hour and a half, 2 hours after it reaches high or low tide. So I spent a day researching this and figuring out how to actually tell when the current was going to be slack, and I came back to do it again. Except I didn't come back because I timed it, I knew when the current would be slack, had this figured out now, and the engine wouldn't start. So now I have an engine where the coolant leak is completely irrelevant because it won't start at all. Long story short, a little bit of fussing around and experimentally jumping electrical parts with a jumper wire, and I got it started. I really didn't know what was wrong at this point. I just knew that jumping a particular component started the engine. So luckily I figured this out in enough time. I was still able to get back into the marina with at the correct, with no current, and I safely got the boat back in, and everything went, pretty okay. So now I'm in the marina with an engine that won't start, and I'm thinking I got to hurry up and get this fixed because hurricane season is coming. And I need to get the boat moved, because I don't want to be trying to move during hurricane season because you're liable to get caught in a place where you can't get good shelter. Well, it turns out that not only, my starting to dive into this, I wasn't able to figure out why the engine didn't. The electronics were not making sense to me. But it was already hurricane season. And I had just been so wrapped up in working on the boat, I hadn't been paying real close attention to what time of year it was. And it was early in hurricane season, so I probably still could have moved, but it was getting risky. That combined with the fact that my little shenanigans with anchoring had reminded me that I still had a lot of experience to gain before I was ready to handle any really tough conditions. And the fact that I wasn't confident that the boat, I had 2 problems in one trip and wasn't sure how to fix either of them. I kind of had a nervous breakdown. There were just so many different things conspiring. And it wasn't like I ended up in the hospital or anything, but I kind of looked at it and I couldn't emotionally confront the work that I needed to do to try to figure out how to get things fixed. So I took a step back. I took stock of my situation, and I decided to stay here in Fort Pierce for the summer. I decided I was just going to delay leaving on the trip until after hurricane season because it was too risky to try to get out early in hurricane season and get to a safe place before the real serious hurricane season started. And I was going to focus, I knew there was something wrong with the engine, there was a coolant leak. Most of the rest of the boat was ready. I did find a few other minor problems that needed fixed, but they were not the kind of they were annoyances and not critical problems. But I decided I'd take the summer. I shouldn't need much time to fix the actual boat issues, but I was going to take the summer to focus on me. I think the last few years of trying to get all the boat stuff together, I just pushed myself harder than I realized. So part of that was to back away from things that weren't necessary and, give myself an opportunity to kind of relax and recover, kind of take an extended vacation thing. One of the things that turned out to be, I was looking at what felt stressful and what felt like work as opposed to what felt like relaxing. Making the videos was feeling a lot like work. So I stopped making videos as part of my let's back down and give myself some breathing space. So we're several months later. I fixed this problem. The problem with the starter circuit is fixed. The engine will start. Push of a button again. I believe I have fixed the coolant leak. I haven't had a chance to stress test it because the weather has been not the kind of weather you want to be trying to get away from the dock in. High winds, and of course Hurricane Dorian scared the living bejesus out of all of us. And by the way, if you have not donated, please find it in your wallet and in your heart to donate a little bit of money to some kind of relief charity, because I got lucky and the hurricane decided to turn at the last minute and miss Fort Pierce, but a lot of people weren't so lucky, and a lot of people lost their lives, and even more people lost their homes, and it's just, anything people can do to help is meaningful. So yeah, I fixed the starter circuit. I believe I fixed the coolant problem, but it remains to be tested. But now the boat is hurricane prepped, so the sails are down, and a lot of other things have been taken down to avoid damage in case we got a hurricane. So I have to put all that stuff back. But really, for the most part, I've just been kind of taking it easy. I am feeling a lot better. I've been working on the boat on a couple hours a day on a regular basis. It doesn't feel overwhelming anymore, so I think I've given myself enough time to recover. So I'm feeling very good about leaving at the end of hurricane season now. I feel like I will be in a better state, and I'm certainly sure the boat will be in a better state. I will have time starting next week to actually take the boat out and just kind of cruise around the area, which will give me a lot more confidence that all the boat systems are working properly. It's one of the things when I went to leave earlier, I was just hoping everything would be fine, and if anything came up, I would fix it on the way, and that's not really a good way to go. You're kind of begging for problems. So one of the things I looked at as I started getting back to work is, am I gonna start making videos again? Do I want to make videos? So because a couple of people have asked, I figure I should. Because it's only been a handful of people, and also the fact that hardly anybody watches my video. I mean, if I go out and promote these videos heavily, I get maybe 300 people watching them, which is ridiculously low. If I don't do anything, if I just publish the video, I've got 20 or 30 people that watch it. I mean, you look at it. There's kind of this thing with making videos. Do I want? Is it worth the effort? And there's this thing where if it's going to be worth it, I feel like I really need to put a lot more effort into the editing and the quality of the video. But of course, I've been putting some amount of effort in, more than it feels like I'm getting a return on. The other option is to not worry about the quality. Just make little, hey, here's what I'm doing, let me show you some stuff videos for the few people that want to watch it. So it's less time, less effort, and that sort of thing. But I'm not really trying to become La Vagabond or anything like that with 1 million viewers. And I've decided that, at least for now, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start making videos, kind of get things caught up, show where I'm at, and it should get more interesting in a few months when I actually am finally leaving the marina. But, it's just going to be some shots, maybe some voiceover, and edited enough to take the boring parts out. I'm not going to try to build stories. I'm not going to try to organize things. I wasn't doing a very good job of it at all, and it was taking a lot of time. And I think part of that is you really have to practice it to get good at making videos. And I was trying to spend a lot of time working on the boat and doing other things and learning. I was learning a lot of things in addition to learning the videoing too. It was part of the thing that was overwhelming me, was trying to learn too many new things at once. So expect me to start uploading videos again. Do not expect them to be on a strict schedule. Do expect the quality to go down as far as the editing and that sort of thing. They're just going to be kind of slapped together home video type things, maybe not even that nice. All of my attempts at making a plan have gone bad. Every schedule, every deadline I've set for myself, I've missed. My goal at this point my primary goal is to have me and the boat ready to leave at the end of hurricane season, and then just go see what happens. And I'm just going to record this on video, and I'm expecting really nobody but friends and family to watch it at this point, and that's fine. But it also means I'm not going to put a massive amount of effort, or even a minimal amount of effort. I mean, it's going to be super minimal effort as far as editing. And I'm just going to grab footage when it looks interesting, splice it together, voice over any part that isn't clear, and publish it. And we'll see hopefully that's enough for people who are just interested in seeing what I'm doing. Anyway, that's the update. In any event, I'll be posting more videos later. Thanks for watching.